Welcome to the video podcast, voted one of the best in the marketing research industry in 2019 and again in 2020. And in 2022, FeedSpot has named it as one of the market research's very best YouTube video locations. You're watching Research Business Daily Report. It's the only daily research news video seen Monday, Wednesday, and Friday most weeks. And we present a single news item that we think is either unreported or underreported and of value to large numbers of people in our industry. RBDR does rely on viewer support, and if you hang around till the end of this report, we'll tell you how you can become a contributor. I'm Bob Lederer, and I'm in my 27th year as the respected voice in market research. Absolutely no one can be unaware of the many impacts that the coronavirus pandemic has had on the research industry since March 2020. In fact, we did something like 50 or 60 reports in a row on this back in 2020. However, the alterations that the industry has undergone in conducting research because of COVID and various aspects of running research businesses have continued to this very day. Rare Patient Voice President Wes Michaels brought this to our attention last week, and we're pleased to share his points of view to the RBDR audience about things that continue to plague and to actually help the research industry because of the pandemic. Wes?
Thanks, Bob. Our company panels encompass patients and caregivers with rare and non-rare diseases across North America, Europe, and Australia and New Zealand. We saw a lot of changes due to COVID, and I wonder if you saw the same. Since COVID first hit on March 2020, so many things changed. On March 13th, 2020, a Friday the 13th appropriately, most of our market research clients were first sent home thinking they would be back in the office in a couple of weeks. Some are just getting back now. By Monday, March 16th, 2020, they all called IT and got their home offices set up. It may be surprising to hear, but that change didn't affect us because we have always been 100% remote, but it did change how we work with our clients. To that point, we had never advertised that we were working from home. We covered up the sounds of dogs and kids and the UPS man ringing the doorbell. But everyone was at home. Everyone had the same issues. And so we didn't need to hide it. And from what I've seen, a lot of people will continue to work remotely post-COVID, as we've all demonstrated it can and does work. We stopped meeting in person with clients, which led to the rise of the Zoom or Teams or Google Meet meetings. But I think it took a curious path. Before COVID, we had plenty of phone calls, almost all without seeing each other. But as soon as Zoom meetings became the norm, it was normal to have cameras on, and we could all see each other for better or worse. I recall one call where we saw the half-dressed spouse of our client walk in the background. Ho-hum. At that point, Zoom calls were here to stay, and that's true today. Speaking of remote, all of a sudden, qual interviews all became remote out of necessity. As we deal with rare patients, a majority of the qual recruits we did were remote before COVID, so it wasn't a huge change for us. In fact, it was a positive because it's much easier for us to recruit throughout the whole country for a study than just in specific markets. People love in-person qual, and that is returning, but I think we'll continue to do a lot remotely. Clients were mostly live streaming from afar anyway. Thanks to COVID, in-person conferences also completely shut down. That impacted us in particular because we've always recruited a lot of patients at in-person events like conferences and walks, and we exhibit at a lot of client conferences. All those events switched to virtual, but guess what? We knew how great virtual events can be for sharing content, like presentations. Yet no one, literally no one, goes to a virtual booth. And that is what we were paying for. For patient events, we worked with advocacy groups as referral partners and promote it online, which I'm happy to report was and is quite successful. With virtual client conferences, we found a way to make it work for us. We simply linked in with many of the other attendees. And what do you know? In some cases, we found we could connect with more people than would have stopped by our booth with their business cards at the in-person event. Now, in-person conferences are coming back. There have been some fits and starts thanks to the Omicron-related postponements. Seems like everyone has rescheduled for May 2022. It'll be Mega May for conferences, including QRCA, Quirks, APOR, ISPOR, and PMRC. Still, so many conferences will be hybrid, so people will participate virtually from all corners of the globe. We expect lots of learnings from those experiences will be applied, providing the best of both in-person and remote worlds. Complementing the virtual conference is the rise of webinars and podcasts. It will remain a great way for people to get information out. We've been able to reach a lot of potential clients with webinars on clinical trials, telehealth, and patient data, to name a few. And I've been able to attend so many on a multitude of topics. So while we haven't been able to meet in person with clients, this has provided a great way to share content and create interest. Finally, how has COVID affected how we get paid? Before March 2020, about 2/3 of our client payments came in via paper checks. During COVID, clients couldn't get into the office to print and sign checks. So payments in our hands reversed. 2/3 of payments now come electronically. This change is much better in every way for us. More rapid delivery, no need to make a deposit, and nothing is lost in the mail. Speaking about promises of payments being in the mail, there was a big slowdown in mail delivery during COVID. We had checks come in 6 weeks after being sent. I think they were hiding in a corner of the Newark post office. The good news is the electronic payment revolution is a change that's going to stick. We're even working on a way to allow our respondents a choice between a paper check in the mail and a direct deposit. So lots of changes have affected us, many for the better. And I'm happy to say, I'd love to hear what changes COVID caused for you.
That's a wrap on this edition of the Research Business Daily Report. As we mentioned at the start of today's video, if you'd like to become an RBDR Patreon supporter, well, we could use your support. An RBDR Patreon supporter agrees to provide a monthly contribution, normally by using their credit card and having us put the small charge against you month to month. You can visit our exclusive crowdfunding platform at patreon.com/RBDR, where you can find out about all kinds of things about RBDR, and you can select a level of support that actually might work for you. And whatever that level may be, well, thank you in advance. We hope you have a good research day, and we'll be back here on Friday to finish out the week, to welcome you back. And until then, please stay safe.